Okay, what's up, everybody? This is Ali from Ali TV. I'm live right now at the Stop and Frisk protest that's happening on 5th Avenue in New York City. This is to protest the illegal and unconstitutional policy called Stop and Frisk. This is when you're walking down the street on your way to the store or with your girlfriend or with whoever, and the police grab you for absolutely no reason most of the time, and they throw you up against the wall, and they search you, and they try to find whatever they can find on you. Okay, now this is proven to be unsuccessful tactic, and it's been proven to be a racist tactic. They have stopped 685,000 people in 2011. 84% of them were either black or Latino, and 88% of them were doing absolutely nothing wrong and weren't summoned or given a ticket or arrested. So what was the purpose of stopping them? If you're a police officer and you know the law, you're supposed to have some kind of factual basis whenever you stop someone and frisk them. That's part of the process of stop and frisk, and why it's so wrong. It not only takes away your constitutional rights, but it leads to police violence. It leads to shootings. It leads to Ramarley Graham. It leads to Sean Bell. It just stigmatizes the whole community as being criminals. You know, you just look at everyone in a community as being criminals. And when you criminalize an entire community, that's when it's a problem. That's when it's wrong. So we're here today at the March in Stop and Frisk. We're going to interview a few people, get their opinions and their feedback on the whole, on the matter and the subject at hand.
An outrage. This is what Stop and Frisk looks like. Police brutality.
And a minor. He's a minor.
15-year-old boy.
He's a minor.
Police brutality in Atlantic City. And I have 9 other cases. 9 other cases. Unprovoked assaults. I have some other cases. I have a young man by the name of Julius Adams, who was brutally attacked by at least 8 police officers. There's video cameras from Trump Plaza all over the place. Going back to Trent Brewer, when he went to go to court, Internal Affairs didn't even release the video. There was video from the CVS store, video from a medical center. Didn't even release the video. They interfered with his due process. Same thing with Julius Adams and 7 other cases. There are about 10 cases of the police brutalizing young black African-American boys and sending them to the hospital and charging them with assault against police. It's outrageous. It is outrageous. So we are here with Stephen Young, the president of the National Action Network, right here of the South Jersey chapter. We're here to support him, and we're here to support the New Yorkers about police brutality that's happening here in New York. Stop and Frisk has to stop. How could your mayor push for something like this? It's going against mostly minorities. It's outrageous. We know that Michael Bloomberg is well loved in New York, but Stop and Frisk is wrong. It's going against young black men. It's going against minorities. It's not going against young white men. It's outrageous, and it has to stop.
For us about Stop and Frisk, if you could give us some insight on your personal experiences with Stop and Frisk, and do you have any personal experiences that you can,
My personal experiences would be in reference to being pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike. Would say indiscriminately, but you pick out, driving down the turnpike and being black is definitely a target to be pulled over and have your vehicle searched, which is in line with the Stop and Frisk.
Can do to break the cycle. Is there any action you think that black people can do on the street, or black people can do in our everyday practice that'll kind of counteract what they're doing?
Well, first of all, we're going to have to start registering the vote. We have to make our vote count. Second of all, we have to over explain the fact that the prison industrial complex is what it is. It is modern slavery. It is something done for the purpose of making money. So the stop and frisk policies are merely an avenue to get a result. And this is to have more bodies behind the walls as chattel slavery.
What do you think about when, like, let's say you hear on the news, sometimes there'll be a shootout on the news, or there'll be some type of crime act, a person will be beaten, or whatever there is, there'll be some type of crime act, and then they'll use that as an example and say, see, now we need stop and frisk because there was a shootout in East New York last week, or there was a shootout in Brownsville the week before that. Now we need this because it stops crime. What do you think about that?
My issue is where did the guns come from? Where did the drugs come from? We didn't manufacture or bring any of those things into the community. So they are purposely put into our communities so that things can happen. So if you really want to stop these things, you want to stop people from committing crimes, you want to stop gun violence, then stop putting guns in the community.
Right.
But the gun league, the gun lobby, the NRA, they put a lot of money out there to make sure that doesn't happen. So we got to break it down to what it is, dollars and cents. If they making semi-automatic handguns, what do you think they're for? They to kill people.
Yeah.
That's their only purpose. So if they're making them, you know that they're making them. Who they selling them to?
Right.
How are they ending up in our communities? You want to stop gun violence, then you got to stop them from manufacturing these guns.
Right.
Period.
Very good. Very good.
I mean, as an attorney, it's blatantly illegal. I think that, the Constitution says that you have to have, a reasonable basis at least to stop someone and question them and frisk them, certainly. And the fact that the administration admits that it stops hundreds of thousands of people a year and doesn't arrest all but a small percentage of them, doesn't have a basis to arrest them, is just basically an admission that they just stop people illegally. I mean, I don't know how they can defend it or think they can get away with it.
Hang on, Elise, just a second.
So we tell people to, save their righteous indignation for the courtroom, save it for when they're with the attorney, because the cop is not going to be your friend. You can't convince them to be on your side. So what we tell people is to just try to remain calm. We know it's humiliating, we know it's undignified, but there's nothing you can do about it in that moment, and to just protect yourself, from getting hurt, to just try to remain calm and be polite. Don't consent to any searches. Don't make any statements to the police. Don't say anything to them besides your name and your address. And ask for an attorney right away.
Can you say that you do not? Can you say that you do not consent to a search? Can you legally say that? And
you can
are they supposed to respect that? You
can say you don't consent to a search. They are supposed to respect that. Sometimes they don't. They might search you anyway. But the important thing is for you to say it, because if it comes up in court later on, you can't stop them from doing what they're going to do. If they're going to do something illegal, they're going to do it. But if it comes up in court later on, your lawyer can say, my client did not consent to the search. But if they say to you, I have a lot of clients who say, well, they were going to search me anyway, so I just let them. Yeah, they were going to do it anyway, but at least you would have a legal defense later if you said, I don't consent to this.
Okay. Do you see any correlation between stop and frisk and a mass incarceration?
Absolutely. I see a huge correlation. When you basically stop our policing an entire community, stopping hundreds of thousands of people in this city alone every year, you're going to find crime. You're going to make up a reason to justify that type of daily contact and intrusion with an entire community of people. And that leads to a really high level of incarceration, which was basically for nonviolent drug offenses, things that people really don't need to be in prison for, that people find themselves in this constant cycle of jail and prison because the police are such a presence, are such an occupying force in their community, that there's no way for them to avoid, arrest for things that in other communities, they would never get stopped for, they would never get questioned about.
Correlation. You ask a very good question, my brother, because stop and frisk is like a pipeline to mass incarceration, because they racially profile our young people, trap them up in crime, trump up charges on them, then they end up in prison. Then when they get out of prison, because there's more than 2.4 million people in prison, most of them black or Latino, then when they get out of prison, even after they've served their sentences, 5 million people are under the control of the criminal justice system through parole or probation. These people get discriminated against when they go to look for a job. You got to check that box if you've ever been convicted of a felony. You can't get a government loan to start a business or to go back to school. You can't live in public housing. They don't even let you vote. So that's 7 million people right there. Then when you add in the family members and loved ones of all those people, you've got tens of millions of people living lives enmeshed in the criminal injustice system. I call this a slow genocide, which could easily become a fast one.
This march is now over. The barricades are clear. Everybody's going home. To end this episode, to end this segment, is the long-term effects of stop and frisk. Okay, the long-term effects of stop and frisk is what happens when you marginalize a community over time. Okay, you might say that stop and frisk, get a few guns here and there off the street, blah blah blah, whatever, right? But think about the long-term effects. Think about 20 years. Think about 30 years down the line. What does it do to a community? When a person feels attacked, when a person feels victimized by another group of people, they're gonna dislike this group of people, right? So if you have blacks and Latinos who feel constantly victimized by the NYPD, they're gonna grow to dislike the NYPD. This could happen with any group of people. This could happen with Asians, this could happen with whites. This could happen with anybody. So if this was happening to the Italian, if this was happening to the Irish, if this was happening to whites, if this was happening to whites, it would be the same thing. Now, if a person is 21 years old and they've been stopped and harassed by the police 15 times, they're not gonna like that, okay? So what do you think they're gonna tell their children? They're gonna tell their children that police are no good and that police are racist. And what do you think their children are going to grow up believing? Their children are going to grow up believing that police are no good and police are racist. So if their children grow up believing that police are no good and police are racist, what are the attitudes going to be like towards law enforcement? You see what I'm saying? So and then that child grows up disliking police, and then what's he going to tell his children, right? And his child is going to be raised being harassed by police, and what's he going to tell his children? So that's going to create this gap that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to happen every year. Okay, it's going to happen every generation. Is going to become more and more hateful towards the police, and then you're going to have the Sean Bell incidents. Then you're going to have the Russell Timoshenko incidents, and you're going to have the police shooting people and the people shooting the police, and it's going to just get worse and worse and worse. When you break it down to the very core, the police are a necessary thing in society. Society would not function without police. So this is where we have a problem. You have society that would not function without police, right? But then the police are against the average person in the society, right? So then you're gonna have all this tension. Now if the police would treat people with respect, then you wouldn't have the police shooting here and the Amadou Diallo over here and the Ramarley Graham over here. You wouldn't have all this tension. The police officers, I mean, taking it back to the long-term effects of stop and frisk, what about the new police officer? Look at it from the other perspective. What about the new police officer who's on the force, and now he sees this group of people being treated that way? What's this going to do to his subconscious mind? He's going to think, well, these people must be criminals. Look at the way they're being treated by all my superiors, okay? And then how's he going to treat them? He's going to go on to develop the same culture, develop the same way of thinking, and then he's going to become the next cop that shoots a Sean Bell or shoots a Ramarley Graham. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why stop and frisk is much more worse on a long-term level, okay? It's much more worse on a long-term level than it is on a short-term level. On a short-term level, yeah, you made this kid feel like shit right now and you got this gun after stopping 10,000 people, you got one gun. Yeah, okay. You can always say get over it, get over it, get over it, but what about 20 years, 30 years from now when you got the cop that's coming up in the force and he's going to develop a racialized mind, and the kid that's growing up who's going to develop an anti-police mind, and you got this kid who has an anti-police mind who has to deal with the cop who has a racialized mind 20, 30 years from now, and look at the clash that it's going to bring. So think about the long-term effects of stop. This is why stop and frisk has to go. It has to. We need more riots. We need more rallies. We need more people to speak out about this whole thing. We need some more congressional changes where we can just put an end to this completely, because it's against our Fourth Amendment right. Our Fourth Amendment right says we should not be searched without a warrant, okay, signed by a judge. Read the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment says any person in their person has the right not to be searched without a warrant signed by a judge. It says that in our Fourth Amendment right. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.